You started out through the two teams in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I know that's a long time ago, but that kind of set you on your coaching career. Can you remember back what you learned in each of those first 2 years? I think getting fired in year 2 with the.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's a cool thing to see those two teams play. Not that I'm affiliated with either program at all, but you learn a lot just being around elite coaches. I mean, watching what they do and how they study the game and just the process of what it takes at that level. You know, when I was there, Kansas City was nowhere close to Super Bowl champs, but it's exciting to see. And you know, some of the guys I worked with or worked for at the Eagles were the Super Bowl champs with the Chiefs. So both elite places. I can't say that I was a very integral part of either program, but it was a great process to learn and just be around that level of ball at a young age.
Did that tell you that this is what you wanted to do for a living the rest of your life?
I mean, I credit more of that to my dad. So my dad was a high school football coach and a wrestling coach more than anything. You know, but I grew up at a little kid sitting on his knee at the wrestling match, you know, yelling out instructions to somebody twice my age. So, you know, that was my introduction to coaching. That's probably where I fell in love with coaching. I mean, who knows where it really comes from, but you know, that's the true, genuine love that I had for the process of development and schematics and all that comes in coaching. But I give my dad more credit than any Eagles or Chiefs coach, that's for sure.
You were able to get that little head start with recruiting here when you came over. Just what are kind of the general messages you've been giving on the recruiting trail? If people have questions about like what Wisconsin is going to be under this new staff, and what do you think the response has been in this first couple of months from people you've talked to?
Number one, the brand recruits itself. And that's been something that we all kind of immediately felt and, you know, just pushed. Is all you have to do is push the brand. There's elite players that have played here for a long time. The previous coaching staff, specifically, you know, Jim Leonard, who is kind of my guy in the process, is as good as it gets. So, you know, for me, a lot of it was how can I say that I'm going to do similar things than him while still keeping genuine to myself. And that's key to the whole process is you got to be who you are, but at the same time, they've been as good as it gets on the secondary level, and Coach Leonard with the safeties, and I have to kind of mesh that together. So
when you call Coach Leonard your guy in the process, just what do you mean by that?
Well, first of all, there's nobody that I respect more as a safeties coach than Jim Leonard. He's a guy that I've studied with for a few years now, and you know, we picked each other's brains as much as we could. But you know, that's a guy that I, you know, would, if there was one safeties coach in the country that I'm going to sit down to and talk technique or fundamentals or scheme, that's the guy. So the fact that he was here and he got to do it, and I get to learn off his stuff every day, I mean, what an awesome advantage that is. So just coaching the same position, but also our mentality and the way we see the game is very similar from that position.
The players loved them before, and the fan base did too. Is there any pressure that comes with following that, or do you think about that at all?
I mean, no, I don't think about the pressure. There's enough pressure in this game without worrying about living up to him. But yeah, I think, you know, relationships are key to any coaching world, and they had great relationships with him, and I'm still building the relationships with the guys. But the more that we can keep things same as, you know, the more likely they're gonna, you know, buy into the change. But at the same time, you know, anybody that has ever played anything, if you're giving them advice to make them better, they're appreciative. So that's the key to the whole thing.
I know you're probably still trying to learn about your own players and your own position group. But since we just talked to Mike, I want to get your impressions of the wide receiver group. What you think the challenges are that they can present when you'll see them in practice with your group?
I mean, talk about the wide receiver room. It's a unique challenge for us going in the spring because, to be honest, it's a mesh of offenses that we don't really No, I mean, I can put on some film and watch UNC, or I know some of the Cincinnati offense, and watching that conjoin together will be interesting. But the players, you talk about the receiver room, I mean, you'd have to turn on like 5 different teams' tape to watch, each individual player and what they do best. So what's nice is they're not keeping score of the spring, so we don't have to lock them up, and bank on winning a game. But it's going to be fun to grow. What I do know is there's a lot of different body types over there and a lot of versatility, which is great for the back end, because we have to cover all sorts of different body types and skill sets and kind of learn with them. That's one of the things in the spring is you like to learn and watch your guys develop and progress through the scheme of the offense, but also how kids attack you individually so that you can get better and improve, because that's what you do in the season.
What do you learn from that group that you've inherited? There's a number of guys that have played a bunch. Well, who's John, but a bunch of other guys have played.
Yeah, I tried my best to get John back. He's special, and the whole story of the walk-on to the first team All Big Ten, that's just unbelievable. But it's a uniquely special group. I mean, who wouldn't have wanted to play safety for Jim? So you have, a group of great guys. I think they all have different skill sets. They've all played a different amount, but Hunter Wohlers, probably was the starter to begin the year and got banged up, but he's a very, very talented player. Blaylock's played a ton of ball here. He's coming back from an injury, but he's, from all reasons going into last season, he was going to be an integral part of the defense, and he's going to be for us. Latu had a great season, in a situation where he came in really late in the process. Zachman, Owen Arnett, Austin Brown, they're all kids that have played roles that are extremely talented, and then you add some young guys to the mix that are talented as well. So it's a fun group. They all love ball, that's evident, and they all work their butt off, which is fun. I mean, what more can you ask from a coach?
You mentioned relationship with players, but you were co-coordinator with Tressel for the 1 year. Jim was always the sole coordinator. Mm-hmm. When you've got a co-coordinator, 2 guys working together like that, what are some of the things that have to be in place for that relationship to work, both personally and also schematically?
Yeah, I think defensively it's unique when you work for Coach Fickle as the head coach first and foremost. We do things a lot together as a group, and I think it allows us to learn from each other and pick each other's brains, and everybody has a voice in the room. Even the GAs are integral parts in the game plan, and everybody's role is slightly different, but at the end of the day, we're all coming together as one on game day and putting our best foot forward. So whatever voice ends up leading this to this answer, we all go behind it. So
following up on that, when it comes to when you work with Mike, what were your responsibilities at Cincinnati, and then is there anything that you're seeing that's going to be changing from what you did at Cincinnati here with that OVC responsibility?
So as far as roles go, I mean, I don't want to get too into it because it'd bore everybody to death, to be honest. But he's as good as it gets as a defensive coordinator, has done it for a long time for very successful defenses in this league. So we rely heavily on his expertise in that mindset. The one thing that I probably bring to the table from that perspective is I've been at Cincinnati with Coach Fick the longest, so I have more experience of, plays that have hit us over time or things like that. But we all, as I said, in a room, it's all one, and we come together with the best answer as a group.
You talked about mentioning the things that you do and what Jim Leonard did. Is the fact that you guys have all gotten experience playing in the box beneficial for you, bringing in what you've done?
Absolutely. So, I mean, versatility is key to our position in this defense and Jim Leonard's defense, and the ability to fit the box, play the post, blitz off the edge, cover man, all those things were asked to be done in the past. So the skills are there. It's just, changing a word here or, alignment here and rolling. So, yeah, it's very important.
You've had talented safeties like Brian Cook in the past. Do you envision more of that robber role for some of the safeties, or how do you think safeties?
Well, shoot, I mean, no one was better at the robber role than Torch. So that was done here probably better than I ever coached it. But Brian Cook and James Wiggins and Derek Forrest, who's having a great NFL career, I mean, they were all great players. They all brought their own specific skill set to the position. I think anybody can be great at the position as long as they know their skills and put themselves in a position to be successful. And that's what Torch did probably better than anybody else. So,
you had an opportunity to be around Brady Collins when you were at Cincinnati. He's obviously generated a lot of early enthusiasm here. What are your impressions of what he does so well?
Well, the best part about Brady is Brady. So he's not acting, he's not putting on a show, but he is the same intensity every day from now until the day he dies. So he leads this pack because he's just a guy that everyone wants to be around. He loves kids and creates relationships with the guys, and they follow him because of the love he has for them.
I'm guessing you had a big part in trying to get Austin Brown to Cincinnati once upon a time. I'm curious, what's that like when you come back here and
he was just smarter than me, right? he knew not to come to Cincy because he wanted to meet me in Wisconsin. No, Austin's the best. I loved the relationship that I had with him. His family was originally from Columbus, so we kind of were using that local kid, and he was just another example, one of those guys that kind of blew up in the recruiting world and, ended up with an opportunity that thought fit him more. And I'm glad he did because he ended up, at Wisconsin, and now I get the opportunity to coach him.
What just made him a high priority for both these staffs, do you think? And
I think
how do you see him fitting in here?
the ability to be versatile. He's just an exceptional athlete, but he can do a lot of things well. In high school, he was a running back, quarterback, basketball player. He was just an exceptional athlete. He wasn't just a football player. So I think Jim saw similar things that I saw was this kid was going to be really good at whatever he did.
We have time for probably one or two more. I'll say you've been on the recruiting trail for over 2 months now. From what you experienced in Cincinnati compared to here, what are just some of the similarities and differences that you've seen so far in terms of recruiting between the two programs?
I mean, number one's the brand, right? So I think the people that choose Wisconsin understand the brand and the work ethic and the mentality that comes with it. I think it represents a state that has something unique about it, and people want to be a part of that. So you feel that no matter what high school you go to, even in Naples, Florida, you know that it's a kid that wants to work and be a part of that blue collar atmosphere that this team has had since way back in the day. So I think that's different. I think the expectation when you walk into a school with the Power W is that you represent that. And I think the kids that want to be a part of it buy into it immediately.
A handful of the guys on the staff have worked together before at various spots. Just how do you guys work well together, and just how does that help you guys out with familiarity?
Yeah, I think it's especially on the defensive side. We've pretty much all been in the room at some point, maybe not as a group together, but individuals. And a large part of it is getting guys to play together, and everyone being on the same page is a key part of that. Nothing more evident than the Super Bowl and some of the back end mistakes, and we got to be on the same page and see it the same way, because you can't walk through and practice everything. So just the idea of knowing what everybody in the room's thinking, when you throw a play up on the screen, and then being able to walk into your position room and make sure we're all seeing it the same way so that we can walk out here and execute it.
Thanks, Colin.